Hey, how's it going? All right, George is back in the news, and this time it's good for him because his girlfriend is recanting and basically saying that she wants to be with George. I think it's pretty obvious that either, she's had some reconsideration on the offers that she's received, or perhaps she's realized that, she messed up and there's not enough evidence here, and George is not going to owe her anything and he's going to walk away. I really don't think that she wants to be with him, although that may be the case. But let's take a little listen to this and we'll talk
Here's the
about it.
thing. In this document that I'm reading, she essentially tries to blame the cops. So Exhibit A, all right, where she signs it, she says, I want to be with George. I contacted George's attorney, you, to ask if there's any way that the stay-away order can be lifted so that we can talk and be together. I am not afraid of George in any matter, and I want to be with him.
Well, I guess that pretty much proves, and to all the uh, George haters, I know this is a stab in your heart because you were really hoping he was going to prison, but this should be a clue to you people that George is not the bad guy here, and that the fact that people are after him doesn't make him the bad guy.
She also claims that it was the police and not George Zimmerman who intimidated her. Here's the problem I have with it, Janie. It was on the 911 call before the police ever got to her, when she proactively called 911, that she was the one who sounded scared. Nobody was forcing her to call 911.
So, of course, the people, especially CNN and headline news, hate George. They can't believe that he was freed over this case, and so they're just trying to attack him in any way they possibly can. But here you have this lady, and she's telling us that George's girlfriend was afraid. She was fearing for her life. But my last video that I made about this particular situation, I point out in the calls that she showed no fear in her calls. And now this is more evidence that she had no fear.
She was the one who said, "You're pointing a gun at my freaking face."
Actually, she sounded angry to me, not scared, and she never said that she was scared, Jane. But regardless of all of that, the bottom line is, and I did not write the affidavit. This was not written. This was by me. This was given to me by counsel. And all I can tell you is, from what I see, I would hope that the state attorney's office takes pause, takes a step back, exercises its discretion, and declines prosecution. I mean, George Zimmerman, a lot of people are calling the police on George Zimmerman. A lot of people stopped George Zimmerman because of...
So, that's what I was saying in my last video, that I believe George is going to be, he's going to have a real issue. Anytime somebody sees him, anybody where it's just him and the other person as witnesses, they can say, he pointed a gun at me. And, as we see in this last case, the police are all too happy in some counties to jump on him and attack him. I mean, if you listen to the sheriff as he spoke about this case, it sounds like he was just all too quick to take this girl's story, even though she really wasn't afraid.
Who he is. He's walking around with a target on his back.
Wait a second. This is his girlfriend, his former girlfriend. This is not some, bozo out on the street who has it in for George Zimmerman. This was a woman who was living with George Zimmerman, who calls 911. I have never in my wildest dreams ever called 911 on somebody I've lived with. I mean, this is not something you do, because you're having a bad day.
Well, Jane, maybe it's because of what I was saying before, that perhaps she had plans on working out a deal, and she's been working with the media, just like George's ex-wife. So that has to be explored. But if George were to take any advice from me, the advice I would give him is stay as far away from that girl as you can possibly get. When I say it, I mean seriously, George. If you hear my voice, do not go near that woman again without a video camera on you at all times. She is not out to help you. Believe me when I say this. So
Your hair isn't
I
curling
can't,
the right
Jane, I
way.
can't speak to that, except that I think they are under a lot of stress. I think that there were people that were outside of the house. I think it was a very heated the moment argument that got.
So there's his lawyer, and she's saying there were people outside the house. Things were happening. There was something happening. Now, the fact that this girl is recanting right now, I personally believe it has to do with the fact she's not going to get anything out of this deal. That her lawyer looked at it and said there's just no evidence. And so she's going to drop it. She's going to try to get back in with him and give her another opportunity, one that where she won't make these mistakes. You know, maybe she can get a witness or somebody who's a friend to come. I don't know.
Got out of hand, and I was not there. I don't know. All I know is what the affidavit states, and the affidavit states that the gun was never pointed in a threatening manner at her by George Zimmerman. Period.
So she was.
And also, as I pointed out in my last video, that from the time she called, 50 seconds later, she's outside the house, and she tells the dispatcher that George had already unloaded his gun. So I had pointed out the fact that there was no opportunity for her to point a loaded gun at George unless it was within those 50 seconds, or maybe just as she's calling 911. It's just not logically possible because now she's outside. How would she see him unloading the gun? So it all happened before. At the point that she's saying, um, "You're pointing the gun," that was within those 50 seconds. So obviously that gun was unloaded, and that's why I say she never was in fear.
Lying?
Story.
So she was lying when she said that on the 911 call?
I didn't say that she was lying.
Well, she says you're.
Yeah, but you didn't say she wasn't lying. I think that it's pretty clear that she was. When she said that he's pointing the gun, and she said it in a way that, it could be the lawyer's trying to worm around it. I think she was pretty obvious what she said. But I also think that she's backing up on it because it's bullshit.
Pointing a gun at my freaking face, or words to that effect. We all heard it. Can we play it again? Can we re-cue up the soundbite? Let's re-cue up.
What I heard. What I heard her say was, "The guns and you are in my freaking face." They were in very close proximity, and saying that somebody's in my face is really an expression that is commonly used, as you know. And in.
So the lawyer's saying, she said, "The guns and you are in my face." I thought she said you're pointing a gun in my face or something like that, but I'll have to go back and listen.
Your face? She doesn't say the gun. She pointed at her in her face at all. That is not what was said. She
All right,
said,
well, let's.
"The freaking guns are in my face."
So, that's the point of this video is the lawyer's trying to say that the guns weren't pointed at her. And, like I said before, this whole thing has crashed down. There is no case. The case will come crumbling down. So she's trying to get back with George, make it soft and smooth. But if she does get back with George and then she does this thing again, but this time now has witnesses and stuff, then she's going to be out. There's no way anyone's going to believe her or her witnesses. So anyhow, that's my main point. I'm really happy to see that George is out of trouble again. I hope that the prosecutor will drop charges right away so that he can, get back to his life, get his, freedom back and get his guns back and stuff. It's just ridiculous that these people they will stop at nothing to take away people's rights, and especially George. So, good talking to you. Talk to you later. Bye.